What up, guys? It has been a while since I had posted on this channel, but since the last video when we were out on like four-wheelers and a side-by-side and everything, talked to my daughters and my wife and convinced them that some go-karts would be pretty sick. So in the meantime, we have managed to buy actually 3 go-karts. Started out with didn't really know what I was buying. It's a little 2-stroke Comer 80 engine. Turns out those are kind of going out of style. Most of the kids are running 4-strokes now. Thing ran for like a week and then it lost spark, and I'm looking at coils and everything else, and they're super expensive. So went ahead and we bought the girls a different one. This is the Tony Kart. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. That's just a frame right there, huh? Well, it wasn't just a frame. We bought it. We'll just say mistakes were made on my part, and my poor daughter actually flipped this thing her first time out. So frame's a little bent, and today I'm going to be trying to straighten it at least back to the point where it's a usable training kind of cart. It's an older cart. It's like homologation from 2009, so we're talking anywhere from 05 to 09-ish. But yeah, so they had a complete Tony kart. It's got a Honda GX200 motor on it. And this was actually one that was a sealed motor, but it had been sitting so long the carburetor was all gummed up, so we had to break the seals to clean the carburetor out. It was either that or get a different engine. I'd rather just break the seals. We're not competing with them right now anyway. So the girls got their cart, but I couldn't not get a cart. So met some guys local. He let me drive his shifter, and I had to have one. There's no touch and goes, no Rotex, DD2s. It was straight to the shifter. So I've got, it's a 125cc Honda. So it's a Honda CR125. Yeah, it's a Burrell from, I think it's from '98, based on the markings on the bearing cassette over here. But it runs pretty good. It's got a few little things I'm going to work on over the winter with it. Right now the clutch isn't quite wanting to disengage all the way. I'm going to try and lube the clutch cable and see if that helps it. And then it's got these floating rotors on here, and I'm pretty sure that these shouldn't be that loose. I get that they float, but they shouldn't just be wiggling. But other than that, the thing runs like crazy. It's definitely faster than the MR2 ever would be. And what I paid for this, I couldn't even buy, well, I could. It's about the same price as a set of Hoosiers for the MR2. So yeah, I'm totally into the karting scene now. It's going to be so sick. Planning on running it at like local track days and everything. We've got Utah Motorsport. We've got Utah Motorsports Campus. Why is my road so busy every time I try to record? So we got Utah Motorsports Campus, about 2 hours away, and then we got just empty parking lots that we managed to find where people don't seem to care if you're out there on a weekend running these things. So yeah, as far as bang for buck, these things scream. And with the MR2, it's always $3,000 for an upgrade here or there. So I think at this point, instead of cutting apart a good car to make an SSM car in autocross, I'd rather just keep this one as a street car, make it fun, make it reliable. And then when I want to just beat on something and be 10 seconds faster than everybody else on a 1-minute course, go ahead and hop in this and have some fun. So that's what I've been up to. So today, the plan is to attempt to straighten this frame back. So just looking at it here, I measured from the bottom of, this is called the yoke right here, from the bottom of here to the base of this aluminum plate on both sides, and this is the right side of the cart, is about 3/8 of an inch higher than the other side. So my plan, you can kind of see, I've got a bunch of scrap metal just under the frame. That's just to avoid, welds and stuff and imperfections in the frame. I'm going to clamp the frame down probably in 4 spots on the back because it doesn't seem like it's warped at all. And then I think the bend starts, it's called the waist here. I think the bend starts about here on the waist because the waist is not flat on this side. It is pretty flat on the other side. You actually might be able to see the difference just right there. Maybe. Yeah, right there, I can see it. So anyway, clamp it no more forward than about here, maybe on here. And then on the other side, I'm going to clamp it all the way up to here. I would clamp it for, well, yeah, actually I'll clamp it here too, because on the other end here, the bend, this bar right here going across the front is bent up as well. So basically the bend starts from here and here. So it's this whole front chunk of the cart got bent up in the accident. So if we can clamp everything and then use some ratchet straps, maybe a hammer, maybe a pry bar or something to push this down on this side, we should be good to go. And the thing should be hopefully straight enough that we can kind of align it and make it run fairly consistently in both directions, turning both ways. And just run it, let them learn on it. Alright, so this is my kind of Western setup here. I've just got it C-clamped to this huge flat piece of aluminum I have. C-clamps on all the straight parts. I've got the waist right here is propped up, but it's actually raised up a little bit, it looks like, because I've got so much downward pressure right here. Yeah, I've got one little guy here, spacer, just to keep the waist from bending too far down there, more than I want it to. And then I've got a ratchet strap that I used to tie the MR2 into my trailer, going from the base of the plate on that side. You can kind of see the little end of it right there, going over to the part that I'm pulling down right here, and then I just kind of heaved on it from underneath. And now you can kind of see the side that was up, which was this side, is actually slightly, looks level, or it's slightly going down. It's about as much force as I can get on that strap, and so I'm thinking when I let go and it springs back, it's probably still going to be bent. But yeah, other than that, I think I might need to grab a big long piece of like steel bar and pry on it, but I don't really want to do that. Alright, I think I actually got this thing pretty straight. When I left off, I had this strap right here, wrapped around the bottom of this plate, and I was grabbing onto the frame right here. That didn't really work. It was enough pressure to take kind of the spring out of the chassis, but beyond that, it wasn't enough to actually deform it and make it go back into shape. I think the main reason is just wrapping around this aluminum here. There's just a lot of friction, so by the time it really started to grab, it was so hard to ratchet that I couldn't do it. And it's probably not great for the strap either to be doing it that way. So surprisingly, the way I ended up getting it was with a trusty C-clamp like this. I just had it underneath the plate like so, and then right there on the frame. And I just wrenched that sucker down, and that actually worked. So I just did it. This gap was about 9.5 millimeters, so I did it all the way down till when I really started feeling resistance was about 7.5 millimeters. So I took out centimeters. So I took out like 2 centimeters. That's almost an inch that I compressed this frame over here. And the other side did ride up a little bit, but not much. I did that once, released it. I saw that I at least made a difference, and so then I did it again and went down until it got really tight. I think it was about 7 centimeters. And when I released it, it's about on. I think this side is it's about 2 millimeters higher than the other side, which that's really not too bad. 2 millimeters is less than 1/8 of an inch. What is that, a little more than a 1/16 of an inch, I think. So now I've got this exact toe thing that came with my cart when I bought it, and I threw it on there just to try and see what the camber looks like. And if I've got it, the wheel is not centered. It's close, but it's not centered. What I did do was I tried to center my toe, because this thing is towed out a little bit. So you can kind of see the difference between that top bar and the spindle. So I tried to make sure the toe was even since I haven't set the toe on it right. And my tie rods, as you can see, are both super bent. With that at least eyeballed as being an even amount of toe on both sides. And then I just made sure that these little guys are level, or vertical I should say, on both sides. And then looking over here at the little thing, it looks like we are almost no camber. So, on both sides. So I think this is plenty good for the kiddos. Can't really see it because of the lighting. There it goes. So I think I am to the point where I can take this thing off of this metal plate, put at least the front wheels back on, see what the steering wheel does. Yeah, and it should be pretty well aligned. Actually take a look at it, not clamp down anymore. All right, I think I'm calling it good. I set it on the ground, and I did notice that the steering wheel wanted to stay cocked to the right, maybe about that much. So I finally figured out that if you just rock the frame from the rear, the cart will settle how it wants to every time. So I started playing with it. I moved, since this was a set that was bent up, and I figured I probably just didn't bend it down far enough, I went ahead and I moved the bottom washer on the spindle to the top. So that puts the tire down, yeah, probably about 1/8 of an inch. Those are some pretty big washers. So I did that, and that seemed to help. I did the opposite on this side to move this spindle up, and it's not like that anymore because I moved it back, but it was actually the problem was now the opposite. And so I just went ahead and put this back to regular since it's not the problem side, and then left the 2 washers on top on this one, and it seems to be pretty good. I don't know, I thought about trying to straighten it more, but I figure if this washer solution is good enough, then, you know, if this thing gets wrecked again, it's probably done for anyway. And to be honest, we probably won't be karting. So, yeah, I think she's straight enough. And at this point, we're going to probably power wash it, put the front suspension together, start looking at buying a new axle because our axle is toast. Check this out. This is the axle for it. There's that. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, especially on this side. She's bent. So yeah, still trying to figure out. I'm gonna go to try to get this taken off of here. The axles typically just slide right out, but since this one's so bent, it's stuck in the bearing. Bearings are like $30, but I think this outer aluminum shell is like a couple $100. So gotta at least save that. Hoping just a hydraulic press will take this out. But yeah, we'll see how that goes and then get this thing back together.